A pantry full of food can still fail. The biggest mistake in long-term preparedness isn't how much food you stack on your shelves. It's whether the items inside actually support each other, or don't support each other at all. Most people feel secure after filling the corner of a storage room with bags of rice, a few cans of soup, and bottled water, until a power grid failure happens, and they realize they don't have enough fuel to cook any of it for weeks. That's when the structural weakness reveals itself. It's the kind of hidden flaw that quietly drains your physical strength and wears down your family's morale, without a single standard preparedness guide warning you about it beforehand. Today's list isn't ranked by popularity. Instead, it takes a closer look at 15 low-cost solutions you can find in almost any grocery store to fix those logistical blind spots. After this video, you won't measure your emergency stockpile by how many pounds it weighs anymore. You'll measure it by how every link works together to protect the survival of the people you love. 15. Breakfast cereal. The most important food. During the first 72 hours of a crisis, the power goes out after a major storm. Emergency alerts keep lighting up your phone. You have to check on family members, find flashlights, and make one decision after another. During those first few hours, the most valuable meal isn't a hot one. It's a meal that doesn't require a single extra minute or any fuel at all. That's why experienced preppers always set aside a small space for breakfast cereal. They understand that most emergencies only last 48 to 72 hours. During that window, the first thing that usually runs out isn't food. It's your ability to stay focused. Your brain has to keep processing information, taking care of your family, and adapting to constant changes. What many people don't realize is that most breakfast cereals are already cooked and dried at the factory. That means you can simply open the box and eat. Many are also fortified with iron, B vitamins, and sometimes even vitamin D. They're not the perfect source of nutrition for weeks on end, but they do an excellent job during those first few days, when speed matters more than perfection. For young children, having a familiar food can also reduce stress and make mealtimes much easier. Experienced preppers usually choose low-sugar cereals, keep them sealed in the original manufacturer's packaging, and store them in airtight containers in a cool, dry place to keep moisture out. The real lesson is this: don't prepare for day 30 while forgetting about day 1. Sometimes, just a few boxes of the cereal your family already eats every week are exactly what helps everyone get through the initial chaos with the least amount of stress. But after a few days, another problem begins to appear. People start getting tired of bland, repetitive meals. That's when item number 14 starts to prove its real value. 14. Bouillon cubes by day. 10 of a crisis, when your family's meals have been reduced to little more than white rice, pasta, and dried beans, a major problem starts to appear. Longtime emergency preppers call it menu fatigue, a condition that nutrition and disaster response studies have shown can wear down morale and cause people to skip meals before their bodies ever run out of calories. That's why experienced preppers don't buy bouillon cubes for the calories. They buy them to protect their family's ability to keep eating the other 220 pounds of food sitting behind them. Physically, bouillon cubes are almost completely dehydrated, making them incredibly compact, lightweight, and easy to store or carry. During periods of hard physical work or heavy sweating, their high sodium content acts as an important electrolyte that helps maintain fluid balance and proper nerve function. When they're added to a pot, the aroma from the concentrated herbs, spices, and seasonings directly stimulates the appetite, turning dry, repetitive ingredients into a steaming bowl of stew that brings back a sense of comfort from normal life. That's exactly why they've been included in military rations for decades. Many beginners make the mistake of choosing low-sodium versions. But in a survival situation, traditional sodium levels are far more valuable. Choose bouillon cubes with standard salt content and lower amounts of animal fat to reduce the chance of them developing off flavors over time. A practical tip is to remove them from the cardboard box as soon as you bring them home, since cardboard absorbs moisture very easily. Then store the cubes in an airtight glass jar with a moisture absorber. If they're kept dry, they'll maintain their quality far better than most other seasonings. A single small box that costs just a few dollars can completely change the flavor of dozens of pots of rice and beans. In a long-term emergency supply, it's an investment that delivers far more value than it looks like it should. But to turn a thin pot of broth into a rich, hearty dinner that makes you feel full almost instantly without using extra cooking fuel, experienced preppers always keep one magical powder waiting in spot number 13. 13. Instant mashed potatoes. When planning for long-term emergencies, many families focus only on calories and forget about how long their cooking fuel will actually last. In a real crisis, every minute the stove is on means another precious resource being used up. That's why disaster preparedness experts always prioritize a highly flexible source of carbohydrates: instant mashed potatoes. These potato flakes aren't simply raw potatoes that have been ground up. They're actually fully cooked and dehydrated at the factory. Their starch structure has already been broken down and gelatinized, which means you don't need a single spark to cook them again. Just add warm water from a thermos, or even room temperature drinking water, stir for 15 seconds, and an energy-packed meal is ready. Experienced preparedness planners also value them for another reason. They work extremely well as a thickening agent. Instead of simmering a thin pot of soup for hours just to make it feel more filling, adding a few spoonfuls of potato flakes instantly creates a rich, creamy texture without burning through extra fuel. This fast-digesting carbohydrate is also a good source of potassium, helping support a healthy heartbeat when your body is under heavy physical strain. One important tip when shopping: avoid flavored varieties that contain butter or dairy. Animal fats are more likely to oxidize and develop rancid flavors after about a year. Choose the plain, unflavored version instead. If you're only preparing for emergencies over the next few years, there's no need to spend money on expensive Mylar bags or vacuum sealers. A clean glass jar or a tightly sealed plastic container is more than enough to keep moisture out. In an emergency, a source of starch that doesn't need cooking can sometimes be worth far more than a 20-pound bag of rice with no fire to cook it. 12. Dried spices. There's one fact that military survival instructors always emphasize: spices never really go bad. They simply lose their flavor over time. Stocking up on those little jars at the grocery store isn't about making your meals feel fancy. It's a scientific strategy for keeping your family motivated to eat when the menu stays the same week after week. Military organizations include spices in field rations based on the principle of sensory variety. After eating nothing but white rice and beans until day 10, your nervous system can begin triggering a natural reluctance to eat if the flavors never change. That's where dried spices become one of your most valuable tools. They let you turn the same basic ingredients into hundreds of different meals. Today, it's black pepper for an Asian-inspired flavor. Tomorrow, it's ground cumin for a Mediterranean taste. The next day, it's garlic and paprika with a Mexican-style profile. The food stays the same, but your morale feels refreshed every day. These natural spices also serve as biological protectors. The capsaicin in chili peppers helps gently raise body temperature during cold weather, while the natural oils in garlic and black pepper stimulate your digestive system to produce more stomach acid, helping your body process less sanitary food sources during disaster conditions. For long-term storage, buying pre-ground spice blends is a common mistake. They've already been exposed to too much air and can lose most of their flavor in just a few months. The better approach is to stock whole spices instead, such as whole black peppercorns or whole dried garlic cloves, and keep a small hand grinder on hand. The essential oils locked deep inside their hard outer structure can remain stable for decades without breaking down. Think of spices as an insurance policy that helps make sure your 220-pound food supply gets eaten down to the very last grain. Once your carbohydrates and flavor are taken care of, the human body needs its building blocks for muscle, high-quality protein, and healthy fats. 11. Canned sardines. Preppers aren't simply looking for the biggest source of protein. They're looking for a source of protein that can be eaten immediately, stored for years under almost any conditions, and requires zero fuel to prepare. In emergency logistics, storage space and portability are the two biggest limits of any stockpile. Experienced preppers don't judge food by the size of the container. They judge it by its nutrient density per unit of space. That's why they consistently choose canned sardines over bulky cans of ground meat that take up more room. From a technical standpoint, the sealed metal can acts like a bunker, completely blocking out light, oxygen, and moisture, the three biggest factors that cause food to deteriorate. That physical barrier helps keep the contents stable for years. Nutritionally, the omega-3 fatty acids play an essential role in building cells, especially nerve cells under high stress. The soft, edible bones also provide calcium, replacing minerals that starch-heavy food storage plans often lack. Just as important, the oil inside the can is an extremely dense source of liquid energy. It can be mixed directly into freeze-dried rice, noodles, or mashed potatoes to boost the calorie content of a meal without using any cooking fuel. One common mistake beginners make, however, is buying sardines packed in tomato sauce. Products made with acidic ingredients like tomato sauce generally have shorter recommended shelf lives because of their natural corrosive properties. Stick with sardines packed in plain oil instead. Even more important, always follow the FIFO principle. The cans you bought first should stay in the front and be used first, while the newer cans go in the back. That simple habit keeps your emergency food supply constantly rotating, so you never have to throw away expired food. A single small can of sardines won't make your stockpile bigger, but it can turn a simple emergency meal into a far more complete one without using a single extra spark. 10. Nutritional yeast. Preppers know that a long-term food supply usually doesn't run out of calories. What it runs short on are the micronutrients that help your body actually convert those calories into usable energy. Most long-term food stockpiles suffer from one serious problem. They're rich in calories, but poor in micronutrients. This is known as the micronutrient gap. It doesn't show up during the first week. It builds quietly through meal after meal of the same foods. That's why many people don't recognize the problem until their pantry is still full. But their bodies have already started losing endurance, feeling constantly fatigued, and experiencing a weakened immune system. Nutritional yeast serves as a biological shield that helps close that gap. From a technical standpoint, because it has been fully deactivated and completely dried, nutritional yeast is no longer used like baking yeast. Instead, it functions purely as a nutrient-dense food. Many products on the market today are fortified with vitamin B12, along with other naturally occurring B vitamins. B vitamins act as biological catalysts, helping your body convert carbohydrates and protein into usable energy. The zinc and selenium found in nutritional yeast also help support normal immune function when sanitation and environmental conditions begin to decline. it offers another practical benefit as well. Nutritional yeast naturally has a rich, cheesy aroma and flavor. Sprinkle just a spoonful over bland meals, and it immediately stimulates both your sense of smell and taste, helping overcome appetite fatigue caused by eating the same foods day after day. The mistake many people make is confusing it with baking yeast or bitter brewer's yeast. Look specifically for a package labeled Nutritional yeast. The only storage tip you really need is to transfer it into an airtight glass jar and keep it completely away from sunlight to protect its light-sensitive vitamins. Nutritional yeast can't replace fresh vegetables or fruit, but during a prolonged emergency, it's one of the few shelf-stable foods that helps keep your metabolism from gradually breaking down. 9. Popcorn kernels. Experienced preppers don't see popcorn kernels as just a snack. They see them as one ingredient that can serve multiple purposes in the same food supply. When building a long-term emergency pantry, most people overlook popcorn kernels. It's hard to associate them with a crisis, yet they're actually one of the longest-lasting food items ever known. Their tough outer shell traps a tiny amount of moisture inside each kernel. That small amount of moisture is exactly what allows the kernel to burst into popcorn when exposed to high heat. If they're stored in airtight packaging and completely protected from air, dried popcorn kernels can retain that popping ability for decades. With nothing more than a pot with a lid and any heat source, you can have a ready-to-eat source of carbohydrates in just a few minutes without relying on the power grid. Another advantage is their versatility. When you need a simple source of energy, the kernels can be ground into cornmeal for porridge or flatbread. Many disaster preparedness experts believe that the sudden loss of everyday routines is one of the fastest ways to break people's spirits, especially children. A bowl of popcorn isn't just calories. It's a small piece of normal life brought back, offering emotional comfort that's incredibly valuable when the world outside feels chaotic. Don't buy pre-packaged microwave popcorn. Buy plain popcorn kernels instead. They store much longer and give you far more flexibility in how you use them. Get more value from a single ingredient instead of filling your pantry with foods that only serve one purpose. Cornmeal when your body needs simple energy. Popcorn when your spirit needs something familiar to hold on to. 8. Powdered eggs. Preppers understand that a complete nutritional foundation can't be maintained without animal protein and essential fats. When the power grid goes down and the cold supply chain disappears, powdered eggs become one of the most important ways to keep your meals from falling apart. Fresh eggs are one of the most complete foods available. They provide complete protein, healthy fats, all of the fat-soluble vitamins, and choline to support the nervous system. Under normal circumstances, most of us eat eggs every day without giving them a second thought. But when the refrigerated supply chain is disrupted, fresh eggs quickly become difficult to store and even harder to replace. Powdered eggs solve that logistical problem directly. Through a spray drying process that removes most of the moisture while preserving the majority of their nutritional value, powdered eggs can be stored in oxygen-free sealed containers for 5 to 10 years, or even longer when kept properly in a cool, dry place. When mixed with water using the correct ratio, they can be used much like fresh eggs in a wide variety of meals, including scrambled eggs, soups, or as a binding ingredient for flatbread. For families with young children, that matters even more. A familiar plate of scrambled eggs in the morning doesn't just provide nutrition, it helps the entire family hold on to the feeling that some parts of daily life are still normal, even during a prolonged crisis. Don't build an emergency food supply that's designed only to keep people alive. A familiar meal can help an entire family stay emotionally grounded when everything else around them no longer feels normal. 7. Dried split peas. One of the most fuel-efficient emergency meals you can make doesn't require a blender of any kind. When most people think about dried beans, they picture something that takes hours to cook. But split peas have one unique natural characteristic when exposed to heat. Given enough cooking time, they break down on their own because they've already been split in half and had their outer skins removed during processing. They cook much faster and naturally fall apart, blending into the water to create a thick, smooth soup without the need for any thickening agents or special equipment. That makes split peas one of the lowest cost sources of plant protein you can buy for your family. Nutritionally, they provide plenty of protein, complex carbohydrates, and fiber. That combination keeps you feeling full much longer than meals built around simple carbohydrates alone. With nothing more than a single pot and a minimal amount of firewood or fuel, you can prepare a hot, energy-rich meal for the whole family with almost no stirring or complicated preparation. A common mistake is overlooking split peas because people assume they need lots of additional ingredients to taste good. In reality, when resources are limited, their simple preparation and natural ability to turn themselves into a smooth soup become major logistical advantages in any emergency pantry. Stocking an inexpensive food that can feed an entire family with a one-pot meal takes a tremendous amount of work and stress off your shoulders during a crisis. 6. Dried lentils. When planning a long-term food supply, the biggest challenge usually isn't the cost of the food. It's how much energy it takes to turn that food into a meal you can actually eat. Most beginners focus only on how many pounds of beans they have on the shelf. They stock up on black beans, chickpeas, or kidney beans, but overlook one important fact. Those beans usually need to soak for 8 to 12 hours and then simmer for another 1 to 2 hours before they're fully cooked. During a grid-down emergency or a situation where propane, gas, or firewood is limited, that much cooking time can quickly drain your fuel supply. Dried lentils solve that problem by dramatically reducing the time needed to prepare a meal. They don't require soaking beforehand and can become tender after only about 20 minutes of boiling. They're also one of the lowest cost sources of plant protein per serving, while providing generous amounts of iron, folate, and fiber. When paired with common grains like rice or wheat, lentils complement the amino acids those grains lack, creating a more complete source of protein during times when fresh meat is unavailable. Many people focus only on the weight of the food they've stored and forget to calculate the cooking time that comes with it. Stocking lentils is one way to protect your family's fuel supply for other essential needs. A small amount of firewood or fuel saved at every meal can extend the life of your entire emergency stockpile by weeks. 5. Vinegar. An effective food supply isn't made up only of foods you can eat directly. It also includes versatile tools that help extend the usefulness of the resources around you. Vinegar is a perfect example. It has an exceptionally long shelf life at room temperature without requiring strict storage conditions. Its naturally acidic environment helps slow the growth of many bacteria and molds that cause food to spoil, allowing it to remain stable for years. Vinegar becomes most valuable during long-term emergencies. For example, when your garden produces more vegetables than your family can eat at once, or when you trade with neighbors for fresh produce. Without refrigeration, those fruits and vegetables can spoil in just a few days. Vinegar allows you to preserve them through pickling, turning a large supply of short-lived produce into food that can be eaten for months to come. Its sharp acidity also adds variety to meals built mostly around dry foods, and it can help clean certain household surfaces when soap is in short supply. A bottle of vinegar costs very little and takes up almost no storage space, yet it serves multiple purposes, from food preservation in the kitchen to basic sanitation in emergency conditions. Smart preparedness means investing in inexpensive items that increase the value of everything else around them. 4. Duck fat. A food supply can contain hundreds of thousands of calories from rice, pasta, or oats, and still leave you exhausted if it's missing one high-energy nutrient. Stable fats. When food is limited and your body has to work harder under prolonged stress, the fastest way to add energy to a meal isn't by forcing yourself to eat another bowl of rice. It's by adding a spoonful of high-quality fat at 9 calories per gram, twice as much as protein or carbohydrates. Fat is one of the most effective ways to increase the calorie density of your entire food supply without taking up additional storage space. Duck fat is one of the best options because of its excellent stability. Unlike many common vegetable oils that oxidize and break down more easily, properly rendered animal fat has had most of its water removed, greatly reducing the risk of microbial growth. When stored in a sealed glass jar and protected from direct sunlight, it can remain stable for months or even years at room temperature. This fat doesn't just provide concentrated energy. It also acts as the carrier your body needs to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, nutrients that are often lacking during long periods of living on shelf-stable foods. In real-world emergency cooking, one small jar of duck fat can completely change the quality of dozens of bland meals. Just one spoonful can be used to sauté vegetables, pan-fry canned meat, or boost the calories in thin soups, turning the simplest ingredients into rich sources of energy that immediately improve a meal. Smart preparedness isn't about filling your shelves with bulky containers of starch. It's about storing concentrated sources of energy that deliver the greatest return with every spoonful. 3. GHE, clarified butter. One of the biggest challenges in building a long-term food supply is finding a dairy-based fat that can survive without refrigeration. Many people stock only cooking oil and overlook the fact that every type of fat has its own level of stability and storage limits. Regular butter contains a significant amount of water and milk proteins. Those components create an environment where microorganisms can grow, causing it to spoil after only a few weeks at room temperature. Ghee solves that problem through one important structural change. The slow clarification process removes most of the water and completely separates the milk solids, leaving behind pure butterfat. Without moisture, the natural biological processes that cause spoilage slow down dramatically. As a result, ghee can maintain its quality for many months, or even years, without refrigeration, as long as it's stored in a sealed container and kept out of direct sunlight. This purified fat also has a smoke point of around 480 degrees Fahrenheit, making it much easier to cook over an open fire without worrying about the fat burning. Just one spoonful of ghee can be used to sauté vegetables, pan-fry canned meat, cook beans, or stir directly into a bowl of plain porridge. It doesn't just increase the calorie density of the meal. It also adds the rich, familiar flavor of butter, helping ease the mental fatigue that comes from eating the same foods over and over. A single jar costs a reasonable amount and lasts through many meals because each serving requires only a small amount to significantly increase the meal's nutritional value. A stable fat that doesn't require refrigeration helps your entire food supply work more effectively. Sometimes just one small spoonful can completely transform the energy value of a simple meal made from shelf-stable foods. 2. Salt. Long before canning, chemical preservatives, or modern freezers existed, salt was one of the most important foundations of survival for human communities during the hardest times. Entire economies and major trade routes in the ancient world were built around the production and trade of salt. Today, Because it's inexpensive and always available on grocery store shelves, many people take it for granted, seeing it as nothing more than a basic seasoning while overlooking its true value in a long-term emergency. In an emergency logistics scenario, very few supplies can serve as many essential purposes as salt. It acts as a natural preservative through osmosis, drawing water out of microbial cells so you can preserve meat, fish, or ferment freshly harvested vegetables when refrigeration isn't available. The sodium in salt is also an essential electrolyte that helps regulate fluid balance, supports nerve signaling, and keeps muscles functioning during periods of heavy physical stress. And without salt, every grain and starch in your food supply eventually becomes bland, increasing the risk of appetite fatigue after weeks of eating the same meals. Pure salt doesn't spoil the way ordinary food does, as long as it's kept dry and protected from contamination. For very little money, you can store enough salt for your entire family to use for a very long time without ever worrying about rotating it. The key is keeping it completely protected from moisture. If it absorbs humidity and hardens into clumps, the salt doesn't lose its quality, but it becomes much more difficult to measure and use. Storing more salt than you normally need for seasoning gives you a long-lasting biological insurance policy for both your food supply and your family's health. 1. Whole wheat berries. If experienced preppers could keep only one single ingredient to rebuild an entire food supply from scratch, many of them would choose whole wheat berries, not because they're the most delicious, but because no other grain can be transformed into as many different foods over such a long period of time. For thousands of years, wheat has been the foundation of civilizations for one simple reason. It stores exceptionally well, and it can become almost your entire menu. The greatest strength of whole wheat berries is their unmatched versatility. You can boil them whole and eat them like rice, or grind them by hand to make bread, flatbread, and pasta. It's one ingredient that creates many different textures, helping reduce menu fatigue during a long-term emergency. It's also one of the very few shelf-stable foods that can increase its own nutritional value with nothing more than water and time. After sprouting for 3 to 4 days, wheat berries naturally produce vitamin C and digestive enzymes that help support your body during prolonged hardship. Many people stock pre-ground flour because it's more convenient, but that's a major mistake. Once flour has been milled, it begins to oxidize much more quickly. Experienced preppers always store whole wheat berries instead, allowing them to decide when to grind them while protecting the wheat germ for up to 25 years in airtight, oxygen-free storage. When purchased in bulk, the cost per serving is also far lower than most prepackaged foods. A food supply isn't strong because it contains a lot of separate items. It's strong because those items work together. Whole wheat berries are the foundation that allows the other 14 foods on this list to function as one complete survival system. None of these items are expensive. None of them are unusual. What they all have in common is how well they perform when the world outside loses its stability. Each one isn't meant to stand alone. They work together as links in the same system, with every item making up for the blind spots of the others. From reducing the burden of cooking fuel, to overcoming the loss of the cold supply chain, to preventing the quiet breakdown of your body's micronutrient needs. The ultimate goal of preparedness isn't to stockpile as much food as possible. It's to give your family more time, more options, and the ability to stay calm when the routines of everyday life are disrupted. Smart preparedness isn't about waiting for a disaster to happen. It's about making sure that if it does, the lives of the people you love can keep moving forward.